Welcome back to the channel.
After not falling in love with Rio de Janeiro or Montevideo, I wasn't so certain about our next location, Buenos Aires.
After all, it's still a huge city. It was still the middle of summer. But maybe this time, something would be different.
Stay tuned to hear our thoughts on Buenos Aires.
And if you stick around to the end, you'll see two of our favorite days, which are days that don't appear on any top 10 list for Buenos Aires. So did we finally find one of our rotating home bases? My name is Rick.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is Finding My Retirement. Let's start with the weather. It's very similar to Montevideo. It's just across the River Plata, and it's still about the same time of year.
But it did still feel a little hot and a little humid, but that could have been because it's not right next to the water.
So overall, I would say Buenos Aires not quite as nice as Montevideo, and as many comments pointed out, Montevideo in the summertime can be very humid.
Yeah.
I think we got lucky. We didn't really have the humidity that so many people experience, but again, there's breeze, and when you're coming from Rio de Janeiro, it just doesn't feel very humid. So we'll put some statistics up on the screen. If you watch the videos about Montevideo, again, the weather patterns in Buenos Aires are very similar. So for me, I'm kind of looking to stay between 50 and 75 degrees. I think Stacy would rather stay between 40 and 60 degrees. But either way, you can get that a big chunk of the year. December and January are probably not the time to go if you're trying to avoid the heat. But, you know, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, probably even November are all going to be nice months.
One of the pretty interesting things about Buenos Aires, with it being warmer, the buildings are so tall that you can always find shade. It didn't seem to matter what time of day it was, but the buildings offered protection. You know, think about that. But it made it a lot more pleasant to be able to walk around the streets and go different places, even in the hottest part of the day, because you had that shade that you could kind of hide in and be fine.
I think it would be very easy to find 3 months of the year where the weather in Buenos Aires suits you. Unless you want extreme hot weather, You're probably not going to get that. You might be better off in Rio, but if you're looking for extreme hot or extreme cold, you're not going to get it. But anything in between, you can find a window of time that works. Stacy and I might have to fight about what that window of time is, but we can find a window of time that works. Okay, let's talk about safety. And before we get into the safety overall, we need to talk about where we were, because the specific location makes all the difference. So we were in an Airbnb kind of at the northern edge of Almagro and the southern edge of Palermo. It was a really nice area. We'll show some maps up on the screen for where we were. But when we talk about safety, make sure you keep that context in mind, because if you're somewhere else, your safety experience could be totally different.
Yeah, where we were, there was a lot of bars and restaurants and shops. It was well lit. So it always felt safe, even at night.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, we were in a great neighborhood, I think, for safety, very walkable, even at night. But there are areas in Buenos Aires, like Montevideo, like Rio de Janeiro, like any big city. There are all kinds of places where you don't want to be alone, you don't want to be at night. But if you find the right places, it can be very safe. So we'll show the statistics for Buenos Aires up on the screen, and you'll see that it's not as safe overall as Montevideo. Certainly, it's not as safe as several of the cities kind of on our agenda. But the area we were in felt very safe.
Yes.
And even, you know, we had a little patio overlooking two of the main streets in our neighborhood. And I would go out on the patio even very late at night at 1 or 2 in the morning, and you'd see people walking down the street. No one seemed to have any concerns. It was pretty well lit. And again, as Stacy mentioned, with the bars and the restaurants being open late, if you picked the right streets, it always kind of felt like there were people around and it was safe to walk.
Yeah.
So I think overall safety where we were was very high. Overall safety in Buenos Aires as a whole, not nearly as high. And we went to some neighborhoods. We'll talk about those a little later, but I went to a Boca Juniors game in La Boca, and it's not very safe there. We walked to the Telmo market. I think there's some areas there that aren't particularly safe. So again, neighborhood is crucially important here, and you want to know where you are and always be aware of your surroundings. If you're in a big city, you know, there's millions of people around. There's people trying to do bad things. So, you know, pay attention to where you are. But I think for us, where we were, Buenos Aires felt pretty darn safe.
Yep.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about healthcare, and for the first time we actually have
Yeah.
a little bit of personal healthcare information.
We
so
have some info.
what's your glorious, glamorous story, honey?
Oh, it's so glamorous. I wound up getting a urinary tract infection. So as any woman knows, so much fun. We were at a hotel and I had to ask the guy if there was a 24-hour pharmacy to see if I could get anything to help me. And there was. So we went down and she gave me what they call the blue pill because it basically turns your urine blue. And
Methylene blue.
it actually didn't work for me. But then I wound up having to get an antibiotic, but they were at least willing to help me. No prescription, no doctor's note, no nothing. And the pharmacy, did what they could and did their best to give me something that they had, which was great.
And this was the first time trying to use, we tried calling the Kaiser travel line because we've got Kaiser in the US. That didn't get us very far. We called our international health coverage. That I think would have worked the first time, but we missed the phone call back from them. So we eventually got that to work down in Ushuaia, where we got the antibiotic you needed.
Yeah.
That worked fine. It actually wasn't that tough to do.
No, that was easy.
So I think the healthcare system is probably pretty good. Again, we'll show the statistics on the board. It's not quite as good as some of the other cities, but they're all very close. And again, in the nicer neighborhoods, you're going to find good private hospitals and private clinics. They do have a 3-tier system in Buenos Aires, and obviously we didn't experience that. We're not full-time residents, but they have what they call their social security system, which is essentially free, and it's for mostly low-income earners. That's probably not something we or most expats would be using. And then they have their public system and kind of a health insurance that you can get that's fairly inexpensive and will provide you decent health care, but not kind of the top of the line, the best clinics, and you may have to wait a while to get your appointments. And then they have their kind of high-end private insurance that I think is, maybe $400 or $500 a year. But we'll show some of those statistics and costs. But again, there's 3 tiers. We would probably be in the top private system, and we'd have our own insurance. And I'm pretty confident that we could get the care we needed.
Yeah.
Again, you're in a big city, there's modern hospitals, and like any kind of medical system, you're probably going to have, people, if you're not paying, you're going to have to wait. You might not have the doctor you want, but if you're in the private system, I think we probably get better care in Buenos Aires than we get in the United States. So I'm going to call that a win. And while we didn't solve your UTI in Buenos Aires, we did kind of figure out how the system works in Argentina, and it did work.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about cost of living for a little bit. It felt a lot more affordable than Montevideo, but when I looked at the statistics, there's really not as much of a difference as I thought there would be. And again, this probably has to do with location and timing.
Yeah.
We stayed in Montevideo for only a week, so when we were there, we weren't getting the discount for a month's stay, which can be significant on Airbnb, versus Buenos Aires, which we were there a month. But even looking at monthly prices, our Airbnb in Buenos Aires, which I would say was every bit as nice as the one in Montevideo, and maybe even a little nicer because it had 1.5 bathrooms,
Yeah, it
which
had the
was
extra.
great.
Yeah.
But very similar buildings with rooftop decks and pools and barbecues and very nice apartments and secure, clean buildings. We paid about $1,100 in Buenos Aires for the month, and the same, our Airbnb in Montevideo would have been over $2,000 for the month. So a very big difference, I think. But where we really saw savings was when we started talking about food. Because everything in Montevideo seemed expensive. Again, we weren't there long enough to find the little hole-in-the-wall places. But even when we went to kind of fast foody casual places, it still felt expensive.
Pricey.
It was over $30 for lunch. In Buenos Aires, things were a lot different. If you go to an international restaurant or a nice sit-down restaurant, you're still spending a lot of money. You're going to spend $30 to $50 or more on lunch, and dinner's probably even going up from there. We mostly go out to lunch. But why don't you tell them about some of our kind of favorite food things and kind of general price ranges?
Well, let's start with the expensive. The one place we found that was really, really good, and I'd personally say worth the money, was an Indian restaurant. We were able to walk to it. The food was really, really good. And when I say expensive, I'm talking South America expensive. It was probably $45. I think we got two dishes and 2 drinks. I think that was it, didn't we? Or an appetizer?
I think we just got one. We got samosas.
Oh, samosas and then a dish.
Chicken tikka masala with some rice and a couple of sodas, and it was
$45.
$45. for me, what I would consider a pretty expensive lunch and pretty on par with almost every lunch we had in Montevideo.
Yeah, yeah. But we did find some great food that was a lot less expensive. There were some great places to go for some hot dogs, great places to go for empanadas, the choripan. We found a few restaurants that they were very inexpensive, and it would be like a $7 to $10 meal, maybe $12 depending on what we were having. And it was also good. I mean, I don't know, some people don't like hot dogs, but the hot dogs were amazing.
And that's $7 to $10 for both of us, not each.
Yeah. Oh yeah, total. Yeah. So it was. There was some good options there, and you can always look for the deal of the day or the hot dog place. You could get a hot dog and a soda for, was it $4? $4. And the hot dogs were big.
Yeah,
so
big,
it was
nice
plenty.
big hot dog
Yeah.
with 1 million toppings and a bottle of soda for $4.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. So you can definitely find those places. And, fortunately for us, we were in Buenos Aires long enough to figure that out. We found some great, inexpensive places.
Well, and again, the promotions were important because right in our building, we had a pizza place that was pretty good. It wasn't probably the best pizza, but it was very convenient. And the first day we got there, we were exhausted. We just wanted something to eat. So we went down and we ordered a pizza and a couple of drinks. And again, it was like $45. We didn't look at the signs out front. And so over the next few days, we noticed a sign out front. You could get 2 giant slices of pizza. Think almost Costco size slices of pizza.
And a drink.
With a couple of toppings and a drink, either a beer or a soda for $5.
Yeah.
And so we went from going to have just 1 large pizza and a couple of drinks for $45 the first night. And then the rest of the time we went there, we ate for around $10 for the 2 of us. And it was all the food we wanted. Our food budget, I'll have to look at the numbers and maybe I'll try to put it up on the screen, what we paid on average per day for food in Montevideo versus Buenos Aires. But I felt like it was a lot less in Buenos Aires than it was in Montevideo.
I think that had a lot to do with the fact that we actually had the time to go search it out, like just research it and figure out where we could go for something inexpensive.
So I'm going to put up on the screen our actual total expenses for our month in Buenos Aires. They're complicated by one factor we haven't talked about yet. We actually took a little 3-day side trip up to Iguazu Falls. So I'll first leave those costs out because that's obviously not daily life. But I think overall we spent about $1,100 on our Airbnb. And again, the actual numbers will be on the screen. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Maybe $800, $900 for food. Our transportation was fairly inexpensive. We only took a few Ubers. So mostly it was the transportation into Buenos Aires, which we did by ferry from Colonia del Sacramento. So that wasn't expensive. We didn't have a lot of activities. We did 1 tour in Buenos Aires. We did have a fair number of miscellaneous expenses, but I think all told, all in for our month in Buenos Aires, it was about $5,700. So kind of well within our monthly budget. And that's being there as first timers and probably doing more things and more expensive things than we would do on a normal trip. Now, when you add Iguazu Falls on top of it, it was another like $1,800 for that side trip. So that would push us over our monthly budget of $6,000 to $6,500 a month. But again, that's on an exploratory trip where we are by design spending more money than we would do in normal daily life. So I think cost of living was well within our range, and it felt much more manageable. I didn't feel like we were kind of watching our pennies every time we turned around. Although, do you want to tell them about our gourmet ice cream bar at the little grocery store?
Oh my God. You mean the one where we got the gringo pricing?
It had to be gringo pricing.
All these little kiosks, like tiny little 7-Elevens. They have just a little bit of everything, and they are small. They're very small. And, they have the little freezer box that you get your little pre-made ice creams out of.
The like $1 or $2 ice cream bars.
Yeah. I mean, even in the U.S., $1 or $2. I think we paid $15.
Yeah, we grabbed 2 ice cream bars without even thinking about it because it was hot and we wanted an ice cream. And it was $15 for 2 little tiny ice cream bars.
Yeah.
I was so shocked that I didn't put them back. I don't know why we actually bought them.
I don't either.
But I think we'd already kind of committed to them and he just charged us. So that was the last time we made that mistake.
Yeah.
I think we got like a gallon of homemade ice cream.
Oh my gosh.
For under $10.
Was it a kilo?
It was
half a kilo?
It was half a kilo, so 1.1 pounds. It was a giant tub
we couldn't finish
of ice cream. We got to choose 3 different flavors, all gourmet, homemade Italian ice cream.
Yeah.
And I think that was about $9 as opposed to our 2 little tiny crappy, and mine was terrible, crappy ice cream bars for 15
That
bucks. So,
had to be the gringo price.
so
Had to be.
if in doubt, ask the price.
Yeah. If you found anything valuable in our video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out.
Okay, let's talk about walkability and public transportation. The neighborhood we were in, I think we've kind of alluded to this, was really walkable. Clean, flat, open streets. There was some dog poop, which we didn't see in Rio de Janeiro.
Right.
But boy, it felt walkable, and we just talked about safety because it felt so safe in the neighborhood, even at night. We felt like we could walk pretty much anywhere, and flat as a pancake for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, slightly uphill, slightly downhill, but we walked within a radius of, I don't know, we walked sometimes as many as 6 or 7 miles in a day.
Yeah.
But we walked anything within 2 miles, we pretty much always walked to.
Yeah.
So for walkability, it was great. Again, this is specific to the neighborhood we were in.
Yeah.
The La Boca neighborhood, where I went to the football match, not safe, particularly at night. I was with a group. I wouldn't have wanted to do that alone. Even the San Telmo market, which is very famous, is in a sketchy area at times, and we ended up Ubering back from there. We walked there and saw the Casa Rosada and the obelisk and all kinds of things. We'll have a little segment about that day later, but I think we walked a total of about 7 miles. But yeah, so walkability, I think, was pretty easy. Again, it was, even when it was hot, it didn't feel that bad because of the shade that the buildings provided, and the streets were narrow enough. So I think walkability was pretty easy, but maybe we should talk about the buses.
We got on the bus and we tried to scan the bus card. We knew it had money on it. We checked and we thought we were doing the right thing. So we tried to scan it, nothing.
Tried to scan our phones.
Even tried Apple Pay because we were told some buses can do Apple Pay. You can't pay the driver cash. Doesn't work that way. And nothing. And so, we're trying to speak in our broken Spanish of like, can you, help us? What are we doing wrong? He wouldn't even try.
He was speaking a mile a minute in Spanish, but wasn't even trying to help us. Clearly knew we were struggling, but he was just kind of basically yelling at us.
Yeah, basically. So we wound up just getting off. What we found out later is you're supposed to tell the driver where you're going, because then that gives him the destination and how much it's supposed to cost. And then you swipe your card. I don't think he wanted to deal with it.
And to be honest, most people we dealt with were very helpful. And between our broken Spanish and their broken English, or sometimes very fluent English, we had very few communication problems.
Yeah.
But this bus driver wanted nothing to do with us. And it never even occurred to me that the bus fare depended on your destination. We failed.
Yeah.
I will say, and we'll probably show some B-roll over the top of this with the buses, there are a million buses. They go everywhere. Buses everywhere in Buenos Aires. You can see 4 or 5 buses in the same 3 minutes, and then realize 2 of them are actually the same line. They come so close together at times. They've got the numbers right on the sides of the buses. That's bus 152 heading to Boca. So if you were going to a Boca Juniors game, that would be the bus you'd want. I think it's going the opposite way, but there's another one right behind it, 152 Boca. Crazy. Just crazy how many buses there are. And then the signs, there's different bus stops every few feet, and they're for different lines. So like this stop is just lines 39 and 152. And then a little farther down, there'll be another bus stop for different lines. Let's go check it out. And here's the stop for line 12, right here. And there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more buses coming. Yeah. If you figure out the system and how it works, and you have your, I think it's called a Sube card.
I think so.
The bus system would work great. They also have a subway system. We didn't even try that because, again, we walked almost everywhere. I think we needed 2 Ubers in the month we were there, other than getting to and from the airport, which we also did by Uber.
One was groceries, because we had a lot of groceries.
We walked to one of the really big grocery stores looking for some of the things that we hadn't found, and we'll talk about food culture in a minute.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of groceries, so we took an Uber back. And then at the end of our day in the San Telmo area, we took an Uber back. But otherwise, we walked everywhere.
We took an Uber to that colorful street. What's it?
Camino.
Yeah.
The Camino.
We took one there too.
So we took a few Ubers, and that's also in La Boca. So that's why we took an Uber there, because we were advised not to walk from where we were to where we wanted to get.
Yeah.
like Google Maps, if you put in your destination, Google Maps will tell you where to go to the bus station and which bus to get on.
Yeah.
Probably tells you how much the fare is. But again, we didn't know to tell the bus driver where we were going.
We didn't know.
Okay, the food culture. And this one I think we're better able to judge because, again, we were there a full month, which is our first full month stay.
Makes a difference.
Restaurants, I felt like we found almost everything we wanted, except we'll talk about Chinese food in a minute. But we found that great Indian place that Stacy already talked about. Lots of pizza, lots of empanadas, burgers, hot dogs, kind of the stuff we want to eat.
Right.
We never found a Thai restaurant that we went to. I searched for some. There are a couple. They don't get great reviews. They're probably expensive. So Thai was a little tough. And then the good news is our Airbnb was only a couple blocks from one of the top-rated Chinese restaurants in town.
Oh, yeah.
Which we were very excited about.
So excited.
Although a few of the reviews left us a little concerned. So how was the Chinese food, honey?
It really didn't taste like anything.
Like nothing?
Like nothing. Like I was eating air.
Why was that?
Because we couldn't get in. It had an open sign. There was a whole family eating in there, and we kind of tugged on the door to see if we could get in.
It was locked.
It was locked.
The big open sign, locked door.
And everybody at that table, when we tried the door, glared at us. Like we did not belong there.
And no one ever came to open the door.
Nobody came to open the door or see what we needed or if we wanted a reservation, whatever, nothing.
We were close enough to it that we probably walked by it half a dozen times. Yeah. Anytime we walked by in the evening, it said open.
Yeah.
Door was locked. We never got Chinese food.
Never got Chinese food. Never.
We did find a little bit of Mexican food.
Yeah.
In the mall, we got some Mexican food. My nachos had no cheese, which I found odd. Right. But we also found a little burrito and taco stand that we had. Yeah. I had a great burrito. You had a questionable bowl.
Yeah, I did a bowl, and the meat was cold, and it just wasn't great. The flavor wasn't great, but your burrito was really good.
My burrito was really good. So we'll put the chart up of all of our key food items and whether we think they're available. But restaurants, I thought, pretty darn good for most things. Not a lot of spice. Again, it's a steak and potatoes culture. If you want to eat beef, you're going to be in love with Buenos Aires. But we could find most other things. And what we mostly ate was choripan, which is like their sausage sandwich, hot dogs, empanadas, pizza, burgers. And then we did some cooking at home.
Yeah, we did some.
We found the kind of stuff we wanted. And then when we wanted the fancy meal for Indian, we did that.
Well, and that's where we found spice.
And the Indian food had a lot of kick to it, but most of the regular Argentinian food does not have a lot of spice.
No.
Even on the table, you can get salt sometimes, but you don't get pepper.
No.
For the groceries, we found most of what we wanted. We made our tacos again and found almost everything.
No sour cream.
No sour cream, no good cheddar cheese, but everything else we needed, and we got around and made pretty darn good tacos.
Oh, did we find cilantro there?
We did not find cilantro in Buenos Aires. We found cilantro, oddly enough, in Ushuaia, and we'll have another video later about Ushuaia, but in Buenos Aires, we found no cilantro, which I thought was really strange. But we also made pasta. The pasta was everywhere. We found a good sauce. We found sausage to put in it.
And we added to the sauce.
So I think we found most of what we wanted. I think it would be pretty easy to be happy. There'd be a few things. But the key is, when you need that special ingredient, you got to go to the big international grocery store. And there was a jumbo only less than a mile from us. Yeah. We didn't find it right away, but once we did, that was where we got some of the things. But you have to be careful and decide how bad you want it.
The price.
You can buy local mustard for under $1. There was French's mustard. I think it was like $15 for a little jar of French's yellow mustard.
Tiny little mostaza.
We did not need that.
No.
So anyway, I think food culture is pretty good. Again, eating local, eating the inexpensive things, finding the promotions. It's very affordable. If you want the higher end stuff, you can spend, I'm sure for dinner, go to a nice steakhouse with a bottle of wine, you're going to spend at least $100.
Yeah.
So you can spend a lot of money, but you can also eat much more affordably if that's what you're trying to do. So one thing that we also found in terms of, well, not really food, but drink, there was inexpensive vodka, not very much rum, but wine. How were you feeling about the wine?
They have some great wine, and it was like $5 a bottle. Amazing. It was
the Malbec.
Malbec, because they make it there.
Yeah, the Malbec from Mendoza. We could find that for $5 or less a bottle, and it was good.
So good.
So if you're a wine drinker, again, if you want imported Cabernet from Napa Valley, it's going to be outrageously expensive. Yeah. But if you drink the local stuff, wonderful one. Okay, let's talk briefly about housing. Lots of Airbnbs, lots of neighborhoods, pretty affordable compared to Rio de Janeiro and Montevideo for what we found. If you stay for at least 28 days and you're booking on Airbnb, you can get a great discount. Again, we had a really nice place. It was 1 bedroom, 1.5 baths, had a little balcony, had a kitchen, beautiful upstairs deck, had its own washing machine, drying rack, you couldn't dry, but a little balcony overlooking the street. And upstairs they had a grill area, just some seating areas, a pool. They called it a jacuzzi, but it wasn't really hot. And then actually a walking track.
And some exercise equipment.
Oh, and some exercise equipment. So really well-equipped building, safe. You got in with a fob. Wonderful place. I would absolutely stay there again. And again, it was $1,100 for the month. So I think for housing, it was pretty much what we're looking for.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk very briefly about visas because there's not a lot to talk about. As an American, you can get a 90-day tourist visa just by showing up. You don't have to do anything advanced. Very easy, no applications. And then one of the things, if you wanted to stay longer, Argentina allows what they call a visa run, which means when you leave Argentina and come back, that resets your 90 days. So if you did want to stay longer, you could take the ferry over to Colonia del Sacramento for the day or for one night and come back. And in theory, you get another 90 days. Since we're only looking for some place to stay for up to 90 days, visas are pretty much a no-brainer for us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the overall vibe of Buenos Aires. We've been to Rio de Janeiro and Montevideo. Stacy found Rio very chaotic and loud. I kind of liked it. We both found Montevideo a little bit sterile and maybe
sleepy,
a little dull, a little sleepy. So how did Buenos Aires feel?
I think it was pretty perfect. I mean, it had the nightlife if you wanted it. It had the vibrancy. There was always something going on, but it wasn't chaos. I think maybe because it's such a big place, the chaos wasn't like in one spot.
Well, and I think where we were, we were
yeah.
kind of at the edge of the Palermo neighborhood. There's a lot of nightlife in Palermo, Soho in particular. And we were an easy walk to get there, but we were outside of it. So it was fairly peaceful and quiet. We could walk all the way down to Recoleta one way. We could walk pretty much anywhere we wanted to go, but our actual neighborhood was a little more residential, but all the buildings seemed to have commercial at the ground floor, which is what made it great. So every 50 feet, there was another bakery or a coffee shop or a little cafe.
Yeah.
So overall day-to-day living, which is kind of how we do it and judge it, the vibe felt pretty good.
Right.
We do want to tell you about kind of 4 of our favorite experiences that are a little outside every day-to-day life, and 2 of them are pretty much on every top 10 list you're going to see for Buenos Aires, but we're going to talk about them and show them to you anyway. But the other 2, if you stick around, are not on any top 10 lists we've seen, but they might have been among our favorite things to do.
Yeah, they were awesome.
So with that, here are some of the non-day-to-day kind of more special things we did while in Buenos Aires.
Yeah. One of the really great things we did was our really long walk to San Telmo Street Fair.
Yeah, we walked past the Obelisco, where they raised the Argentine flag for the first time, and the Casa Rosada, which is the presidential office. We saw all kinds of great street performers.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little Avida on your way to the market. And then there's the street fair itself, which is only on Sundays.
Lots of stalls, lots of things to buy, including earrings that I did not need.
Clearly did not need them, but there they are.
Yeah.
There's also a couple of churches. This one is the Basilica San Francisco.
Yep, it was beautiful.
So this was originally inaugurated in 1754, but was destroyed a few times and rebuilt. So this is its current form, and it's just beautiful.
It's amazing. It's got a nice little sunroof, or like what's it called?
A dome.
Yeah, the dome.
And then more live music. This is a little off to the side of the actual indoor San Telmo market. They had a little plaza and some stalls and some food and some performers and some fruit smoothies. It was pretty good, darn good. Although, how long did it take us to get our smoothie?
It was like 30 minutes, and you didn't get the one you ordered.
Yeah, 30 minutes to finally get a smoothie. It was not well organized, but the street fair itself was really great. There were performers and stalls and food and art. And here's the actual San Telmo market, the indoor market, which was founded in 1871. We bought some alcohol. Yeah, that's what we bought in here.
Dulce de leche.
But if you start from the Casa Rosada side, you will eventually end up Dorrego Plaza.
So we've spent the morning wandering through San Telmo. We started at the obelisk and then went by the Casa Rosada. Now we're at Plaza Dorrego, hoping to see a little tango. We've been wandering the market and having a really good time.
So we did make it to Dorrego Plaza and got to see some tango.
It was really cool. It was great.
So this is, I think, Don Bernabe, who's known as the godfather of Dorrego Plaza. He's in his 70s and has been dancing there for a long time. He danced for a little while and then passed it off to, we're more certain about this, we believe this is Pedro Benavente, known as El Indio, who is a very famous tango dancer and basically organizes the tango in Dorrego Plaza and has for many years. He's traveled the world as a tango dancer. He is world famous, and it was really cool to see him. And unfortunately, we don't know who the woman is. We saw he dances with a couple of people, so we're not sure, but they were both really talented, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
Very cool. Again, I would highly recommend it.
And this is the actual antiques market that's in Dorrego Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might also just be on Sunday. I'm not sure.
It's either Sunday or weekends. We don't know which.
And then we went hunting for food, and we found Desnivel, a steakhouse along the main street fair. Really good steak. Not our cheap pricing we found other places, but very cool. So the next day we want to talk to you about is Recoleta Cemetery. This is all on all the top 10 lists also. Yeah. It was about 3 miles from our Airbnb, but this is the first public cemetery in Buenos Aires. It was founded around 1822. It's huge, 74 acres, almost 5,000 vaults in it, above ground, below ground. It's just mind-boggling.
There are rows and rows and rows that you go down, and you could get lost so easily.
This is one of the people involved in holding Evita's body after she was dead, and part of the disappearing story. There's a little more of that later, but this is just kind of walking along. These are the rich and the famous of Buenos Aires, and probably all of Argentina are here.
There's some amazing vaults, crypts. Crypts. So elaborate. It's insane.
The money is amazing, and we'll see one here, I think, in a bit, where you can actually see in and see. Most of these are 1 story above ground and then 2 stories below ground, and some of them you can actually look in and see the stairs or the ladders, and some of them are in really good shape, and some of them are not.
Well, yeah, that's...
So this is, there was a creepy factor. I wouldn't want to be here at night.
No, no, definitely not.
But and some of the aisles are wide and some of them are very, very narrow like this one. So this was our trip, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the specific things we saw.
So I am not sure what this one is about. I can't find anything about it, but it's very interesting. It's the first one we've seen like this. When you look inside, it's very simple, but people have put money in here. This is Ortiz de Rojas, a very controversial Argentinian figure, very rich cattle rancher who took power. I don't know who was in here, but it was clearly someone who wanted out, and I think they got out. Some other people were talking, I don't know if they're right, but they said that this person was actually buried alive here. It's a little creepy, well, no, more than a little creepy. Pellegrini's tomb has the stairs on the outside. Pretty sure you're not allowed to go down there, but there you go. Down into the depths of who knows where. So Aramburu is also part of the Evita story. Apparently he became de facto president in 1955 after Perón was ousted. So we can get a better idea of how deep some of these things go, because this one actually is broken and open and you can look down into it. I'm not sure I'm up for that climb down this ladder. So if you've ever wanted to feel like you're in something out of the Haunted Mansion, this may be the place to come. Has all that creepy vibe during the day. I can't imagine being lost in here at night. So they're redoing this one, but it apparently shows you here what it looks like, so we can see the top level is what's above ground, and then the 2 layers underground. You've got a very modern one on this side of the walkway. I don't know if you'll be able to see inside at all, but incredibly modern. And then right across from it, a much older one. Certainly not the oldest, but a much older one.
We finally made it to Evita's tomb, the Duarte family tomb, but she only got there about 1976 maybe.
Yeah.
And she died in 1952. So quite a story of how she ended up here and what happened in between. So now we're going to talk about a couple of the days we spent that aren't on the top 10 list. And the first one is the EcoParque, which is the site of the former zoo that closed in 2016, but they couldn't rehouse all the animals. And so now it's just a free park that still has some of the animals and still has...
This is a Patagonian Mara.
Yeah.
It's like a little small deer. It's so cute. And they're free. They run free. And we have the capuchin monkey, which they were a bunch of those, which little island, I don't know that they don't swim, but apparently they don't. So,
and some of the animals, like the Mara, actually just wander the grounds. They can walk up to you. It's crazy.
And the peacocks, they also wander around.
The peacocks wander around.
I got to watch one eat a butterfly. This is a greater rhea. It's kind of like a emu. It's a little bit smaller than an emu, but really cute. There were a couple of those. And of course, the pink flamingos, which everybody's familiar with for the most part.
This guy was cool. He's a Brazilian tapir, and he was fun to watch. They were kind of feeding him one of the bigger animals, although we'll see a couple of real big ones in a few minutes. But it's amazing what's still here. But
like the little lemurs.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a lot of like abandoned buildings and empty enclosures, so it's kind of creepy and weird all at the same time.
I know. And they had a couple giraffes.
Yeah, the giraffes were awesome, and you could get pretty close to them. They were not free to wander around, but enjoyed watching the giraffes and had a great view of them.
And well taken care of. All these animals seem to be very well taken care of, which is great because, you know, you do worry about that with a zoo, especially one that's now free. It's like, how do they afford it? But you can give donations, whatever, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and we were expecting to see like, you know, a few birds and a few small animals, and then we've got a bison. Crazy some of the things we were able to see. So this is the Andean condor. He has a wingspan of up to 10 feet 10 inches and is the largest bird of prey in the world.
Some cherry
And then just some of the other animals we saw. I mean, overall, it was a pretty spectacular day. I mean, we went in with pretty low expectations, given that it was free.
Yeah.
And we didn't know much about it and hadn't seen it on any top 10 lists. And I think it might have been my favorite day of the whole month.
I loved it. I thought it was amazing. A puma. Where do you see a puma?
Yeah, you got to see the puma. So yeah, it's open, I think, Tuesday through Sunday. It's free to get in. I do think they can limit the attendance to keep the crowds down, but absolutely make this part of your trip if you have a chance.
Definitely.
So the last of our 4 special days was the Parque Centenario, which was pretty close to us. It was created through a 1909 ordinance, and it's actually located right in the geographic center of Buenos Aires. It's about 30 acres, a big circular park, and on weekends, or at least Sunday, I think weekends in general, they have a market that goes around the perimeter of it. I actually think I enjoyed this market a little more than San Telmo. It was a lot quieter.
Yeah.
It was still busy, lots of fun things, but it didn't have the chaos factor of the San Telmo market. So I really enjoyed this. And
they had everything.
They had all kinds of things. I mean, obviously not on the scale of the San Telmo market, but still pretty cool. And then the Museum of Natural History is right there. We didn't go in, we thought about it. And then you've got the lake and all the birds and the koi fish.
Oh, the koi fish were huge. They really were massive fish. But it was a great location. Everybody hangs out. Lots of people hanging out with their mate, just sitting there all day, but most of the day, just enjoying it. It was a wonderful little park.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And then they've got a kids area with a carousel and some other rides and things and some playground stuff.
And some like activities like painting and stuff.
Oh yeah, the painting and some street art. So overall, again, just a really cool day. So that about wraps things up for our preliminary assessment of Buenos Aires. Yeah. If you stick around, we're going to do another video coming up that talks about some of the stuff we need, some of the stuff we don't need, and stuff we probably will need someday. So that might be fun, and it's a little different. And then after that, we'll do our final video where we provide a formal score for Buenos Aires. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, let's start with the weather, since that's been one of the problems in our last 2 locations. No, that's not true.
No, it is not true. Oh, that's right. A little precarious.
Whoa! Okay. We're sitting on a rock here.
You're on the rock?
It's not flat.
No.
Clench those buttocks.
Oh, okay. Are we ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome back to the channel. That is quality there. Quality filmmaking. After all, it's another huge city. It was still the middle of summer, but maybe this time something would be different.
Oh, shit. Okay.
You have no microphone.
It's on my sweatshirt.
We're doing a great job here. We're going to pause now.
I'm going to do like this.
No, she's going to go get her microphone.
I don't want to go all those stairs.
Well, that's what happens when you lose your microphone.
Uh-oh.
What is that? Oh.
I don't know. There was an
You
exclamation
got to move my
mark.
way a little bit. Oh, we got to move a little closer. One more step, buddy. So let's talk a bit about the overall vibe of Buenos Aires. We've been to...
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have.
this is good.
Yeah.
You like blooper material.
I know.
Okay, here we go. We're going to try again.